Good morning, kids. I'm going to be showing you the next step with your grid pattern. So if you'll please just be patient with the setup. I tried the best I could to make it so that you can tell what I'm doing. Hopefully I'm speaking loud enough and you'll be able to hear me. This is your raw material, right? This is the grid pattern we've been working on for so long. Hopefully you did your very best on it so that when you transfer it, it will transfer correctly and you'll be able to do exactly what you need to do. So I've picked up my art supplies, right? You picked yours up. You have a piece of paper like this, a nice white piece of art paper, very nice paper, that you're going to transfer this grid to. You are going to need to do similar to what we've done in class. You're going to tape this down just a little bit at the top. Think about it, this will end up framed, and in the art show the frame will cover over about an eighth of an inch actually is all. So don't just gob tape on here because it'll damage your paper and then it won't look nice. So one little piece right there, and then we're going to put this right on top, line it up very, very carefully so that they should be the same size. I cut them all the same size. This one doesn't matter quite as much unless you've got some important detail up there at the top. So I call it making a hinge, just like we've done in class with lots of things, okay? So now I'm burnishing it down just a little bit so that it doesn't accidentally slip, because I do need it to stay tight. Then I'm going to open that up. And I'm going to take my transfer paper, and this does not need tape down. This just needs to have the dark side down so that you can transfer your image, okay? So you just line it up. It doesn't even really have to be lined up because your papers are lined up, right? You made a hinge and everything should be lined up without having to worry about this. Mine's too big, it's gonna bug me, but yours is gonna be a little more useful because I have an old one. I didn't get myself one from school, and I just have an old one. So then you can either get your hard pencil. Oh, that's one thing I forgot. It's much better to use a pen for this. So I'll come right back. Okay, I'm back with my pen. And I like to use a pen because I can see where I've been, because you know I'm tracing over pencil marks, right? And sometimes if you trace over pencil marks with a pencil, you can't see where you've been. So that's why I like to have a pen. So it doesn't really matter where you start. You can start anywhere you want. You can do it systematically and start here and move across, or you can just randomly do whatever you want. You have drawn this very carefully. I'm going to start in the middle, and I am just going to transfer my image, and I'm going to take my time and do as good a job as I can, okay? I want my lines to be, maybe I can speed up the video through this part so you don't have to watch this tedious, slow process, but it really is a tedious, slow process. This is why when I do artwork, I like to have music on, and or a movie or something so that I can focus and not get bored, because boredom is our enemy, right? And to do tedious things that you have to be very careful can be quite engaging, but at the same time your mind can wander and you start thinking of all the other things you've got to do that day or want to do or whatever. So that's a grasshopper's leg, I know that, and here's this other leg. Here the grid sometimes gets in the way just a little bit because you don't want to trace the grid lines is what I'm trying to say. You're not going to trace the grid lines, you're going to trace the drawing part. I came up with the idea of transferring it to art paper when I got so many drawings where the kids had drawn the grid so dark that their finished product, when they're all done shading and doing all that hard work, their finished product had the grid still on it, and nobody wants to look at your drawing and go, oh, you used the grid pattern. You know, they want to look at it and go, oh wow, you did a really good job, look how good you drew that. They don't need to know that you used a grid pattern because they don't know what that is anyway, but you just want it to look really nice. And there will be some things that you mess up on that you can always fix later, but the fewer things you have to fix later, the more you're going to enjoy this process. So that's my little grasshopper. And you know, when I'm shading, it'll be much more evident that that's a grasshopper as I work through. And I don't know what some of these lines even are at this point. I just know I don't want to transfer the actual grid lines. So I'm going to be quiet now so that I can just draw this and hopefully fast forward it. I got to figure out how to do that, but Okay, it looks like I finished. If you'll notice, my grid pattern was smaller here where the grasshopper is, and I extended these lines down to the bottom of the 11 by 14 paper, and in this image that I used, it cut off part of this tip, which I didn't like, so I added that tip up here at the top. So I added just a little space at the top and a little space at the bottom to make it 11 by 14. So if that makes sense, hopefully that does. So that is how you transfer it. Let's see if I did okay. So you lift this up, remove your paper, and there you have a nice, clean, hopefully, drawing that you can start to shade. Now, if you left something out in the original drawing, you can still fix it. It's not like you're stuck. If you didn't draw the grid very well and you do better on this one, well, you won't draw it better on this one when you transfer it, but as you shade it, you may find mistakes you made, and that's okay. This is a great time to repair those mistakes. So hopefully this made sense and you can see it well. I've got lots of light on it, and I had to rig up something so that you can see down. Instead of me working on that jiggly stand-up easel, I chose to put it on my drafting table where I had more sturdy work. So hopefully this works for you. Love you guys. Have fun with this part. Once we get your grid transferred, we're going to set it to the side and we're going to do some shading exercises. We're not quite ready to shade it, but this is where I wanted to be at the end of the term. We almost made it. Hopefully you got your grid drawing so that you're here. Okay? All right. Happy drawing. See you later.